Hey ladies, this is Mocha Mommy here bringing you another video, and excuse the background noise. I am cleaning, but I wanted to create this video because I understand that there may be a need for me to be more straightforward. I understand and see all of the changes that are going to be coming to YouTube, and as a result, I was trying to sort of speak in code, but in a way, I think that perhaps I may have maybe put too much code in it to where you have to look too far into some of the messaging to really get the point. All right. So I'm saying that because just looking at my analytics, I still have a lot of really young subscribers. Like more than half the platform is under 25. And those of you who are 30 and up who add your comments, just know that I am very grateful for you, because if I'm Mocha Mommy, you ladies are the cool aunties. And I appreciate you so much for adding your insight and experience, because there are so many subscribers here. And not to mention the emails that I get from very young women who perhaps I may need to be a little bit more direct with, just because of their own world experience. So when it comes to some of the subtle messages, I'm just going to be blatant and say what it is I mean out loud. So let's talk about fall baking. Now, I want to shout out to content creator Dee from Pink Chill Divest, who really was very classy in her response, but also very poignant and on point when she talked about older Black women particularly divesting or withdrawing their support from ungrateful family members, especially this time of year, because we're supposed to be the keepers of the tradition and the keepers of the hearth and home. We're supposed to host the family holidays and make sure that everyone has a Merry Christmas. And we're supposed to open our homes and our wallets a lot of times to our family members who are counting on us to create the holiday cheer. And that it is okay to withdraw your support from those things. So I really appreciated the way she was straightforward. And I was really talking about that in fall baking. So with fall baking this year, we're not really going to be doing the huge blowout Christmas parties, the large Thanksgiving meals, the Christmas cocktails. We're not doing that this year. We bought our home in 2018 with the thoughts to live in it for an entire year. Then we were going to collect and gather estimates of the things that we needed to renovate and do. And then when that happened, when we had our quotes, when we had chosen our contractors, then 2020 hit. The quarantine really made it difficult to, number one, all work was at a complete stop. Then number two, supply and materials were harder to come by. By the time those supplies and materials came back into stock, you're looking at estimates that were over 2 times what they were in the past. Not to mention the fact that credit markets pretty much locked up. So when you're trying to budget to pay back a home equity loan versus now having to come up with the cash twice as much because lending is not what it used to be, we have to understand that we got to reprioritize. And what our priority has to be is our future investment of our home. And what that's going to mean is that for people who no longer have young kids, people who no longer have people who believe in Santa Claus, and that other people who are parts of the family and other parts of the country, we might not be a destination for them anymore. That for those cocktail parties and friends that we would entertain, we are not going to be doing that this year. We are just going to be giving some baked goods and a very thoughtful holiday card. We're going to prioritize our wealth building, and that is our home. So that's that. We're not going to do it this year. This year it's not going to get done. So thanks for Dee for clearly articulating that point a lot better than my fall baking video did. Also with fall baking, I had told you ladies about how I clinically precept a lot of the students that come through our facility. And I also am on like a board for diversity and hiring at my place of employment. One of the things I love to do for the graduate students and for just all of the students who rotate through, graduate, undergrad, the associate's degree, or the professional vocational students who rotate through, is I love to make sure that when they're rotating through, to bring a box of donuts, to bring some breakfast tacos, or to make sure that I'm providing some baked goods. A lot of these students are away from home. They're young adults and they may be a little bit homesick. Some of them maybe are working adults and that this facility is new to them. They've had a long commute. They've had to wake up early. They've had to get kids off early and maybe they didn't get breakfast that morning. So just a chance to sit down and give them a good welcome and give them a breakfast or give them a good snack when I know that some of them have long commutes and they're going right from clinicals to a job. It's just a courtesy that I like to extend because I know what it's like to be a working graduate student or someone who's away from home in undergrad. So I completely understand that and I want to show compassion. But I told you about one problematic graduate student in a venting session that I did online, and I do not recommend venting online, ladies, but how problematic that was. And it was very interesting because I find that when you do bring baked goods, people are kind of like, I didn't know you cooked. And it's like a low-key shade, and you know what I'm talking about. Or, people today don't be baking like they used to, or women today don't be, like those little modern women's quotes. And it's very interesting because this person kind of went in, this problematic person kind of went in on like, people don't bake anymore or women don't bake anymore type of thing. And he maybe got to about 2 or 3 sentences in before thank you even came out. And in fact, I'm not even sure if thank you even came out, right? He never even said thank you I don't even remember. I don't recall him saying thank you, but I remember there were at least 2 or 3 sentences and none of those included thank you at all. I don't think any of them included thank you. Now that I look back at it. So what I noticed that we do here in this space is that we would defend ourselves, against that guy. We would defend ourselves. Well, I bake and my mother bakes and no, you can't say that Black women don't bake and modern women, and modern women can be, but whatever. We are so busy defending ourselves against that guy, we don't focus on the people who say thank you. And that's really the next level in the level up for me, focusing on the people who say thank you. So I've noticed that the young physicians of today or the young healthcare professionals of today are a lot different than my generation when we came through. They're very quick to get a consulting job, a contract job, go into private practice, buy their own urgent care or franchise of a home health agency or physical therapy conditioning agency. They're very quick to go into holistic or alternative medicine and add their credentials to CBD or THC clinics. They're very quick to move on and not just be an employee for the 30, 40, 50 years of their life. So it's a good idea for me to be a good ambassador, right? To lay that groundwork early because as they progress in their careers, they may come to rely on you for some services, for your experience, for maybe guidance through their credentials. And that leads to a lot of promising opportunity for me, especially as I may want to step away and slow down. So I really do appreciate the ambition of today's young healthcare workers. But in order to take advantage of that, that's going to extend me. It's going to mean that I'm going to have to extend some kindness. And I typically do that through fall baking. So when I'm too busy focusing on defending myself against someone who probably is not even going to get the job anyway, because of their bad attitude, their lack of professionalism, and the fact that they think very lowly of me as a person, or just the Black woman in that place that works there as a person. He just thinks lowly of us. Like, I can defend myself against him, or I can focus on the people who say thank you. So one of the things I love to do is get recipes from Instagram or social media. And then that way I can say, oh, what's your social media? I can give you the recipe. And now we're in contact offline, outside of the office place. Okay. So that's one way that I use Instagram as an ambassador, right? Okay. Now I have a way to contact you away from the workplace, and keep tabs on your progress and on the progress of your career and your professional trajectory and see where it could benefit me in the future. You see what I'm saying, ladies? That's what fall baking can do for you. And it's just a really strategic way of extending that holiday cheer, and also to reaching out to some of the people who might be aspiring leaders or aspiring business owners, and just keeping in contact with them. So I also found out through social media that I have a coworker who is a runner, and we signed up for a race that is 6 weeks from now. And we both are at a really similar point in our life where we've been running since we were teens. Both of us have sustained some injuries, and our running careers are going to look different. We don't think we can do the 26.2s anymore. We'd be lucky if we can get in a 13.1, but we can still contribute to the running community by doing the community service 5Ks, that raise money for charity. We can still do the charity walks and runs. We can still do some of the bigger 10K races that attract a lot of people to our city. We can still do those things, but we just maybe can't run at the level that we did even 4, 5, 6 years ago. So we're both kind of processing this together, processing through this time together. We're having our Tom Brady moment together, understanding that it's time to retire and hanging it up. That aspect of our lives, we're hanging that aspect of our lives up. So it's been really good. And one of the reasons why I'm trying to talk you ladies into the running community is because it is a community. All right. We understand that we are divesting from one community, but we have to invest in another. All right. So running is my community, and I want to extend the secrets of my community to you so that when you leave one community, you can go into another. So another part about running and building community was when I introduced the book Running with Purpose by Jim Weber. Okay. I may have been too subtle to say that, listen, people who have unresolved childhood trauma, for sure, they're a red flag. But people who have used their childhood trauma and are open about it and have resolved it and have used it to fuel their future, those are people that you may want to be around, especially if you've transformed your childhood trauma yourself or you're going through processing your own childhood trauma yourself. Those are good people to be around. Not to mention the fact that book, when he talks about the strategic divestment from discount sports retailers, right? He talks about the divestment from suppliers who had poor quality materials. But he also focused very much so on the investment on specialty running shoes and specialty running shoe retailers. Okay. He also focused on his investment in biomechanical engineering and physiology related running equipment, and the technology behind making the run safe and effective and comfortable for more and more runners. Okay. So that is really important, that we not just divest from what doesn't serve us, but then to invest in what we want for our future. So the reason how Brooks became a billion-dollar brand was not by taking the cheap route, by just getting rid of the discount suppliers and the discount materials, but it took an investment into technology, into research. That is basically one of Brooks's main sources of income, selling the technology, not just the shoes, selling the technology in the bras, selling the technology in the shoes. So and being a source of research and a resource for people who want to know more about performance equipment in general. So it's a really good book in the sense that it really goes to show you that divestment is just the first step, but the investment needs to be something that you ladies need to do. It's fine to get rid of the dead weight and the old baggage, but you need to come up with some kind of plan to invest in yourself. Okay, it's easy to divest in a sense because it's almost socially acceptable for people to withdraw, just go to work and come home, to get food delivered to the house, to even work from home, and to not really leave their house for several days at a time, right? You're safe, but then you're not thriving and you're not growing. So that's what I want to talk about. The next level in the level up is not just what you divest from, but what you invest into. ladies, when I talk about sports, sporting goods, sporting equipment, I am telling you this because I need for you to recognize the flex. It's one of the first things I talked about when I talked about my online dating videos. Recognizing the flex. We think that wealth looks a certain way a lot of times, but a lot of times wealth may look different than what we think about it. There's a reason why I named specific shoes from specific retailers in my realities of running video. Those are not cheap. And typically it takes someone with a disposable income to have that kind of access. Okay? Like, it is very important that you ladies begin to recognize the flex that right now here in Texas, if I see a jersey from out of state, now granted, a lot of African-American people, in particular, Black people in particular, from 14 to 40, we pretty much all dress the same. You know, that's unfortunate. Everyone dresses very juvenile, I think, for the most part in the African-American community. A lot of us dress very juvenile. All right. But if you're noticing it like around sports time, like, why would someone have a certain particular jersey in this area? Usually it's because they've relocated from somewhere else. Okay. And if I find out that they've relocated, you want to know why. Many times, I think 8 times, 9 times out of 10, it's for their career. So if you ladies are familiar with the sports teams around you and the surrounding sports team and what their jerseys and what their colors look like, when you see something a little bit out of the ordinary, you may want to ask that question. Okay. It becomes a very benign but pertinent vetting tool. Also, too, you just want to recognize whatever sport you're interested in. Okay. Know the equipment of the sport. Okay, because it's not just golf. It's not just tennis that has men with disposable income. It's lots of different sports and activities. One of the things I had said to some of the single ladies around was to hang around Bass Pro Shop. Like on a payday Thursday, a payday Friday, you want to be at Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's. And they're like, why is that? Why do I want to be at Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's? Because stores like Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, Dick's Sporting Goods, and even certain restaurants like Tropical Smoothie, Hawaiian Brothers, certain vitamin nutrition outlets, not GNC, but I think Vitamin Cottage or Natural Grocer Vitamin Cottage, several other franchises too. Certain specialty ice cream stores, maybe Sprouts Farmers Market, Whole Foods, of course, we know that a lot of times at certain retailers, this is something that my daughter's friend, Homeless Emilio, taught me. Certain retailers only open in areas where the median home price is $350,000 or above. And Cabela's and Dick's Sporting Goods and Bass Pro Shop is one of them. They only open in places that have a median home price of $350,000 or above. So it usually means that they are in the upper middle class areas and they target those areas. So for those of you who are looking for a seasonal side hustle, that might be a good place to start looking, okay? And understand and recognize the flex. So if you're starting to schedule your dates, you may want to schedule them at restaurants, coffee shops, bars, eateries, or close to those type of areas. All right. And if you're looking for a seasonal side hustle, look at those more high-end franchises that market towards the upper middle class, because that's a really good idea to start making that your second stomping ground, if that's your goal. If hypergamy is your goal. So you definitely want to make it a point to recognize the flex in the sporting goods, the sport and sporting equipment, and also make sure that you're in the areas that cater to them. They don't have like some of these specialty running shops in poor areas, unless that area is about to be gentrified. They really don't have a lot of those specialty sporting goods shops in areas that don't have a high amount of homeowners, a high amount of luxury renters, and really high-end businesses. So just make sure you're recognizing the flex. So ladies, I know that there are times that subtlety is very needed, and that to be nuanced is very needed. To speak in code is very needed. But I also know that there is a good time for direct communication. And that's what I really wanted to provide in this video. So I want to wish you ladies the best going forward. I want you to build your confidence and build your skill, because Being social is a skill, and understand it's nothing that someone's born with, but something that's going to take practice every day and something that needs to evolve. So whatever it is that you're interested in or passionate about, use that as a way to elevate yourself into the social scene, whether you're into art, cooking, music. And right now, over the holidays, it seems as if those things are really being prioritized and pushed to the front. If you're interested in creating cocktails, if you're interested in community service, this is really the time of year to go out there and do it. Politics is another one for those of you who wants to get involved in that area. If you need to make sure that your money is right, this is the time to get those seasonal side hustles at those strategic locations to make sure that you're making the money and making the connections in the circles that you want to be a part of. So I know that there is going to be need for nuance, and there's going to be a need to speak in code as we move forward on this platform. But at the same time, I don't want you to miss the point. This is Mocha Mami, and I'll see you in the next video.